What's up, WWE Champions Universe? It's Lee and Rusty from Champions Chat, and we're back with the series Back to Basics. Rusty, what are we talking about on this Flash Feud weekend that we would want to get back to basics on?
Just how to set your lineup, how to set your feud lineup, how to effectively run your feud lineup, how to review your feud lineup before you release it into the wild.
Yeah.
And we'll do as much as we can to simulate what that would be like. Well, actually, there is a Flash Feud starting, so it's not a simulation. This is not a drill.
This is real. This is live. In fact, we're on, so you can see the Sick and Sinister feud right now, and I'm getting ready for it. And you can see what I've got set up. But see, I set this all pre-CSS. What do we mean by that? Well, we'll get into it. So a couple things we want to get out of the way because we've been asked, hey, can you say some things for that person in the faction? Like, not in our faction. We're talking about your faction. That person that you don't want to tell the hard truth to. We could tell the hard truth. Rusty, what happens if my overall roster, like, let's say I have one 6-star gold on my roster, and it's Hall of Fame Jerry Lawler, and I set a feud roster that's like 250k people. What's that gonna do to me?
Well, it would be like overlook. Okay, I see. So I live in the country, so I see these trucks all the time. It would be like putting a semi and trying to merge into a fast-moving interstate.
Nice.
Which I see almost every day, either to or from work. But there's guys that I call them battle cruisers. They are loaded up. They're slow moving. They're high density vehicles, and they cannot keep up with the pace of traffic. And they typically are a danger to themselves and those around them.
That's the right words right there. They're a danger to themselves and those around them. So if your roster, and I'm saying this for someone in your faction that needs to hear this. So if someone sent you this video and said, hey, I need you to take a look at this, maybe they're hinting at something they don't want to tell you. If your roster talent is not super high, but yet you're going in with like guns blazing and you've got 200k talent, let's just say, or above, you're going to hit 6-star golds left and right. Which means if you don't have the ability to go through and fight them, you're going to hurt yourself and your faction. So limit your who you put into the roster based on what you actually have. Like if you see on mine right here, it's a lady feud, and ladies are a little harder to, get the best ones of right now. But I've got Bailey Zombie, I've got Rhea Legend, I've got Indy, I've got Charlotte, and I've got Maxine. So the two Chelseas right here aren't really doing much for me other than filling a spot. But those other girls can beat anybody they come up against, right? So I'm okay going above 200k or beyond. But if you've got, let's say, Striker Nikki Cross, and you're like, okay, I'm trying to win every match against all the 6-star golds, and you're going up against the roster I'm showing here, you're probably gonna end up hurting your friends and your scores and your speed. Like, yeah. Rusty, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the reason we say you're going to harm yourself and others is because you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated that you lose every feud because your opponent has a far higher talent per superstar than you do, and you're going to frustrate your line mate because they're going to see XX pop up and they're going to go, oh no. My faction mate's either gonna about to hit tag in chat for me, or they're gonna do something even worse and try to go back in and do it again, right. Thus annihilating their entire roster and wasting both of our time.
Right. Yep. So that's the PSA to that person in the faction that doesn't want to listen to you. Listen to us. We're trying to help here. So there's kind of two metrics you want to build your feud rosters around. You want to build it around speed. How quickly can you get through your opponents? In a top faction, 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes tops is what they're kind of expecting you to be done with your entire matchup. In lower mid-tier factions, you're probably talking they're okay about 20 minutes, but there's very few factions that are playing competitively that are okay with you taking the whole 30 minutes. If it happens, it happens. You get a bad match, you just communicate with your faction, you're okay. So it really matters who you set up in your feud lineup. You want to be as quick as possible, and that also helps you get your war score, because the faster you get that done, the better you go. Rusty, talk to me about line bonuses. We see on the screen right now, I know you can't see it, but those on the video can see it, that I've got the bottom and the mid row filled, but I don't have anything on top. Why is that? What am I doing with all this?
Yeah, you want to try to run your lines lean and strong, and you want to try to fill a line or leave a line alone. So, like, I'm looking at that middle line where your Chelsea's required, but it's also going to do 50% damage to yellow moves, 20% war score. So I'm going to want her, Chelsea, there in the middle. And then, if possible, I'm going to need a striker, and then I'm going to need, what is the third one? Is it just any?
It's open.
Yeah, so open. So I put my Shayna Baszler there, right? Because she's running 2 yellow moves. I'm going to try to get some more juice out of her for the CSS. I don't have anyone at the top line because they're not going to get a bonus. Right. They're just going to be an anchor that slows me down and weighs down my talent level, because it's going to make me too heavy, like that overload truck we talked about. So if I run just the middle line, I'm running about 80K, right? If I start adding people to the top, now I'm going to get an opponent that's at maybe 100K, 125K. Right. He's going to crush me because he's going to have gold, where as to where I don't.
Yep, absolutely. So use your line bonuses accordingly and fill them. You don't have to fill up every spot. In fact, it's better not to if you're not going to. I would try to fill the bottom row, but the midline, unless you can fill it, I maybe wouldn't for a lot of rosters. Obviously subject to change depending on your goals, but pay attention also to the bonuses that are in there. So notice we've got fill bonus on the bottom, +1 charge to green moves. So it's smart, if you're not using 99 MP people, to go ahead and put green move people down there. It's going to help you out. Midline bonus is +1 charge to any move color, and then typically the top line bonus is +3 move charge to anybody. So if you have that super rare character, this week it's Abby the Witch, you have that super rare character, then go ahead and use the top bonus and maybe leave the midline open or the bottom line open, depending upon what you can do. And then you mentioned Shayna Baszler. So what's the role of CSS? So if you click this little C with the up arrow on it, you can see these people that give you bonus points. Rusty, what are these all about?
CSS, you'd be surprised how many people don't know what that stands for. Contest Superstar. So it's like Lee said, it's the bonus superstar that is being utilized this contest in a unique way for scoring, for additional scoring.
Yep.
So your highest scores will come from the highest amount of CSS. The way Flash Feud has been working lately with the was it called the War Score competition? What's the one about the specifically the CSS? They matter more than ever.
Battlegrounds.
So, yeah, Battleground. Back to you, Lee.
No, you're good. So you can see on the screen right here, there's a few different ones that are contest superstars. So any Raw, which I've got covered, Shayna Baszler, Roxanne, Chelsea, which I've got covered. She's the midline bonus. And then the new character is usually one of them as well. These, depending on if you're on Feud or Flash Feud, is either going to count towards your War Score or the Battlegrounds competition. But either way, you get points for using these. So what a lot of people will do is try to go for War Score first. So max out the, kind of what I'm doing right here. I'm going to go for a higher War Score first. And then later on, once I've kind of got that mapped out, I'm going to lower my rosters and I'm going to go ahead and put my CSS in there to get those bonus points. and kind of, knock them out later. But I'm going to lower them because usually your CSS are characters that aren't super high. Like my Shayna is 6-star, but she's not 6 gold. She's just 6 bronze. And so she is going to take forever to win a match. So what I want to do is actually lower my talent. So like I'll take this Rhea Ripley here, replace her, and I might go to the very bottom of my female roster and throw in one of these like 1K or 8K talent people, so that way I'm matched up with people who are going to be having some of those lower talent as well, so I can get through my CSS more quickly and kind of go from there. But usually competitive players will go for their war score first, then go in, unless the CSS just happens to be one of their better characters anyway. How do you run that, Rusty? Do you run CSS first? Do you run war score
first? I actually
first?
do the opposite. I do the opposite, and I'll tell you why. I am old, and I live on the East Coast, and so I try to guarantee, because of the way that the CSS are rewarded much higher, I make sure I knock them out first, so that if anything should happen, if I fall asleep, if my phone dies, falls in the toilet, yada yada yada, I've knocked them out and I can go to bed, at least knowing I got the most points possible in the shortest time allowed.
Nice. That's a great. I like that strategy. That's really good.
So I just don't trust myself. I just don't trust I'm going to be able to stay up late.
Not to fall asleep on the wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
I had somebody message me the other day on Discord, and they actually said, blah, blah, blah. And I said, dude, I'm working 2 full-time jobs right now. I'll get back to you when I can. And their response was, you're old. I thought you'd be retired by now. It's like, serious? I hope that was sarcasm. But even still, response. Right in the kisser, man.
I wish I could give them a giveaway prize for that one. That burned. Just send them a promo code for that.
Wow. Oh, well, the next thing you want to pay attention to is not just your lineup and who you've got going for CSS, but also what are the shared trainers. So I set this up intentionally with a few people that are going to have some shared trainers. So, for example, Rhea right here is using my multi-gym coach and trainers, but so is Indy. But also, by the way, Maxine is using Reinforce, but also Blue moves, but also so is Charlotte. So this is kind of an intentional move to look and see, like, oh, wait a second, I don't want to be changing my MP trainers or just my overall coaches every single time I'm going in with a different superstar. So if you have some roster versatility, you want to keep in mind who is it that uses what trainers, so that you can kind of get in with the characters. So you don't have to worry about having the right trainers, switching them over each time, and getting it done. Thoughts on that, Rusty?
No, that's good. And that's something I didn't learn early on. I spent so much time moving people around, even before you could save loadouts, for years, having to remember and manually change out MP trainers or a promoter. It's eating into your score. It's especially in a flash feud where there's a limited window, it's just costing you points doing that.
Yep. So if you notice on screen, I've got Jerry Lawler here has an affiliation strap, so I can run Maxine and Charlotte at the same time. But if I didn't, I would have to go in and say, no, actually, I need to choose one or the other. So make it so that you can run your max trainer and entourage ability without having to swap each time before. But there's also a very special kind of trainer in this game called a promoter. Rusty, what's the importance of your IOW promoters?
I mean, they multiply your score. So if you have 1 hour to feud, for example, and you would hit a score of 4 million, well, if you have a 50% more war score promoter, by my math, your 1 hour feud, your score would be 6 million. It would give you, as you continue for every match and every basically cumulatively rewarding the time invested as a multiplier of your time. So if you're old and you go to bed early, they're essential.
Right? They are essential. Oh, goodness. I'm about to do something I haven't gotten to do yet, which is add my new Leonardo onto Indy. Oh, she's going to be even better. Holy cow. Anyway, yes. So you want to utilize those, just like Rusty said, to get more war score out of it, but also pay attention. So, for example, in the midline bonus, you get 20% more war score, bottom line 10%, top line 50% more war score. If you're just trying to get this thing done, you want to maximize your war score so that you get as much out of it as you possibly can. And then there's these things called individual bonuses, right? So depending on the feud match or the feud event, it's going to be at least 65K per. But what that means is when I go into a fight, let's say this is my roster, I'm going into a fight against somebody else. When I use Zombie Bailey, that gives me a bonus of 65K. But then I'm done for that brawl, right? Until we go back out and go back into another brawl, she doesn't get a bonus anymore. So switching to Rhea then gives me 65K bonus. Then switching to Chelsea gives me another 65K bonus, and so on and so forth. So you want to maximize that and use as many unique characters as you can without also breaking the dam on that overall score. You know, that little 231 number I've got down there. I've got 231K going in. I'm confident I can win with everybody but the Chelseas on here very quickly. If I start spreading the wealth and putting too many people in here, and you get above 150, 200K, and you start hit that 6-star gold wall, things are not going to go as well for you. So yeah, that's another hint. Anything else on trainers, coaches, and promoters that people need to know about for this basics video?
I mean, so you probably need to, at least what I do, I run my lineups by some of my faction mates. We even have like coaching rooms, roster coaching rooms with feud consults, because some of them are unfamiliar to me, and so I'll say, considering this feud's perks, is this the best way to run Striker Shayna, right? And so I ran Striker Shayna a few times through tours this week, but that's it. And I had to change my my loadout, and so rather than feeling your way around in the dark, let someone else look at your roster. Let someone else look at the entourage and the move set that you've chosen to see if it's going to maximize your time and your score.
Nice. I agree. And isn't there a channel that has something like 3-minute moves things or something like that they could check out?
On our Discord, well, I was gonna say too, we have coaching rooms on the Champions Chat server, our Discord, and we also make content like 3-minute moveset videos, which I did watch for Striker Shayna, by the way. Nice. And that's what caused me to change her loadout. I was doing the yellow and red loadout with the Juggernauts prior.
Yeah, those work too. It's nice either way. But okay. Well, other than that, the biggest hint, other than setting these up, is to go in to your contest tab and just see what the overall contest is. What are the point methods that you're going to get? So right off the bat, you can go in here, you can see that war score is going to give you a certain amount of points, and then you've got the superstars that we talked about, kind of the battlegrounds that are going to give you bonus points there. And then there's another, because they're nestled, right? They're hidden from each other. There's another war score competition here, which gives you just straight up war score. So what is the max for it? And how far do you feel like you are going to get? So for this one, it's individual per each flash feud. Your faction benefits from you getting the max war score, which is 750,000 on this Battlegrounds competition. And then you have your overall war score on the solo tab, which is, depending on the feud, anywhere from 100 million, or like this one right here is 300 million. look at what's required, look at how you get there, and then also just look and say, how far am I willing to go? What is my goal? Your goal doesn't need to be 300 million. Maybe you want to stop at the gold chest here at 43 million, or maybe you can knock out 100 million. You can see where you want to be based on that, kind of set that goal and go for it. Yeah, that's kind of the basics of Feud. There's a lot more we could get into for some deeper cut stuff, but that covers the basics. Rusty, anything else that you want to add into this?
I mean, I think feuding, having a partner that you can communicate well with, having a this is something that I'm still new at and trying to implement more, is like trying to feud with the same person in your faction that has about a similar speed and roster as you, so that you won't frustrate one another and you'll have a good time together, and you can jump in your voice chat. Are you ready to go into the lobby? Okay, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Boom. So to me, that kind of turns Feud into a 3-dimensional experience, and it makes it a heck of a lot more fun, versus you being in the lobby first and not knowing who's going to jump in with you, and then you losing your mind when someone with a roster much bigger jumps in with you, and then you're outmatched and getting X's again. So I think I call that kind of blind feuding. Blind feuding is really not a lot of fun if you really think about the alternative, right, and consider the alternative.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's it for this Back to Basics video. Send this to someone in your faction who needs some of these tips. Watch it, listen to it, check it out so that you can do better on your feuding, because it's every other week, give or take, in this game. So it's a very important mode. Very important that you check this out and send it around. That's it for this video. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.